Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. It's the first segment of the Cannon project for a while, actually. I think it's maybe 3-4 weeks. I think, Paul, the last time we had you on was back in early January.
Yeah,
It's
been a while, been a long time, but yeah, good to be back. And,
nice one.
Speak to you guys.
Yeah. I'll tell Richard Godfather's also back as well. I think he's just finished torturing someone because it was pitch black.
Yeah, I started the session off down the mine because we've had sessions where fellas have been in submarines and stuff. So I thought I've got to top this some way. So instead of, so I carried on going down. I was right down the bottom, right down at the bottom of Stanley Kroenke's gold mine. Called my bank account.
Your bank account. And we've got a full house just in time. Oh, Richard the second, how you been keeping, my friend?
Not too bad at all. I had to redo my password on there. It wouldn't accept it.
Yeah. I do apologise for that. But good to see all the lads, the likely lads, back on this particular segment, the Cannon Project. So we're going to get into this one. We're going to be talking about the Wolves game. We're going to talk about the up-and-coming game against Brentford and something about a half-time. What happened at half-time? Nothing to do with football. Well, American football. To see you guys just actually on the other side of this music intro. Yes, it's the Cannon Project back in full effect. Mondays at 5:30 p.m. UK time at least. Anyway, it's going to vary wherever you are in this world of ours. But I've got the likely lads back. Yeah, likely lads are back. And if you wouldn't mind just subscribing and helping the channel grow, that'd be most kindly. It's actually free. We're not charging you to do it, but if you wouldn't mind to do it. All right. So yeah, Paul, how you been keeping, geezer?
Yeah, very good. Just really busy. Got a family of boys dotted around. Oh, I've lost. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on.
I've gone black screen, but that's all right. But yeah, no, I've got 4 boys at home, so it's been massively busy with work and everything like that. But yeah, no, it's every week just goes on so quickly, and yeah. Just leads on, but I'm glad that we're now getting back into football after the little break, and just been really busy. But hey, we're good.
Nice one. Richard the second, how you been keeping, my friend?
Good, thanks. I'll go back to work in March, so it's a slow progress. So looking forward to that, and. Just started back on getting my YouTube channel to do with other bits and pieces on my hobbies I have. So just started back on that. So that everything's going in the right direction. And enjoyed the football. And also the Super Bowl last night was quite interesting to watch.
Well, the half time at least, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell him he's on the run. How's it going now, tell man?
Yeah, I'm moving around. I started off in a right down at the bottom of a mine, and I've come into this bohemian village, complete with crazy wallpaper and that, and I'm good, thank you. All the better for discovering that I have a big link with the LA Rams.
What, money-wise still?
Not money-wise, but basically, well, we can go into it later, but myself and Tim have an amazing link with the Rams.
Whoa, sounds very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. But actually, talking about American football, Paul, they won. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals. What does that mean for Arsenal, Paul?
I think the optimists would be hoping that he may start looking to maybe improve one of his kind of franchises or clubs that are around in his kind of portfolio. That's all you can kind of hold on to, is that he might suddenly see one of them is not doing so well, and because he's been ploughing in money left, right, and centre into this Rams project, he looks at this Arsenal side as not just being the cash cow, and somewhere where we can actually start building and growing in this kind of way that he's been doing with the Rams. But in reality, I don't think a lot. When you look at it, there's a reason why his nickname is Silent, and he's got lip service from his son in the club, and I don't think anything changes regards to day to day. I'd like to think it would, but as I say, it's Dan Kroenke.
Yeah, Richard, do you concur with Paul Sports? Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, the optimist would hope that it would sort of be a light bulb moment and make him realise that to win these things you've got to sort of spend, because this year the Rams didn't go in the first pick, did they? They went with the senior and tried and trusted. Which is something that they haven't done in the previous seasons. In previous seasons they sort of gone young, but they went with a bit more experience, and it cost them a bit more. But hopefully that light bulb moment might say, well, if we want to win things with Arsenal, we're going to have to follow suit there. But it probably won't.
Well, I tell you what, they spent a lot of money on their Super Bowl, didn't they? Especially at the halfway point or the half time. I recognise a lot of familiar faces at the half time. But tell your thoughts and also go on and tell us what is the link? Although you said
it's an interesting link. Tim sent me a thing in the parish he lives in, the village or the town, very small town, is called Scariff in County Clare, and he sent me off a copy of the parish bulletin from the local church. And basically the story goes that there's a massive link between this village in the west of Ireland, and it goes like this, and I'm doing this from memory now. Back at the turn of the century, somebody from that parish in the west of Ireland, like so many people did, left and went to America, and it was two brothers, one of which was called James Reeves. He's the pertinent person here. So this James Reeves left. I would imagine he'd be around about 20 years of age, and he started up in New York when he first arrived with his brother, a fruit stall selling fruit on the street, and things went better and better and better, the land of opportunity and all of that. And in the end, he owned like a supermarket empire. That's how it all started. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And he then bought the Cincinnati Rams, which was the original name of the LA Rams. And the team were doing well. And then a bit like Kroenke, really, he then decided to relocate to Los Angeles, as it obviously was a bigger market. So he moved the club there. So they were then known as the LA Rams, and they won all kinds of wonderful things, Super Bowl and so on. And when he died from memory, it was 1971, the club was sold to somebody. I don't think it was Kroenke straight away, but anyway, eventually it fell into the hands of Kroenke, and he then moved it back, or maybe it had already moved back to not Cincinnati, but St. Louis. But in the meantime, and this is why the fantastic link is there, in the parish church, there's these most wonderful stained glass windows, and you can't but notice it when you go in. They're absolutely wonderful, and they were paid for by James Reeves. So he thought back all those years when he was very poor, I presume, leaving Ireland, trying to make his fortune. And having made his fortune, he sent money back to Ireland to have his parish church adorned with these amazing stained glass windows. So he never forgot his birthplace and the place he grew up. So, his supermarket, in case you're interested, his supermarket chain, he sold to what used to be called Safeway. Do you remember the Safeway supermarket chain? The one near us in Palmer's Green is now run by Morrison's. So I went shopping in his supermarket today, as well as, so there's a sort of a massive link there. And it just underlines the fact, I guess, if you're from an Irish background and maybe many other parts of Europe, including the UK, you know, people left back in the, you know, in the day, back from 1850 onwards, really, and went to America and Australia and Britain and all other kinds of places to seek their fortune. And it's interesting that he was the one who thought of it before Kroenke. And obviously this LA Rams have already been there before under this man called James Reeves, and somehow they found their way back to Ohio, and then they've made this sort of journey again. And as I was thinking about that story, I kept thinking, you know, it's not going to be before the decade's out, probably a lot sooner, that we're going to be ending up doing exhibition matches in New York, LA, you know, because you think of the American market. I don't know if any of you guys have been to the States, but when you're in New York, Los Angeles is as far away from you as Moscow is from London. So it's a massive place with an enormous appetite for sport and an enormous market. So while Kroenke, I'm sure, wants to get into the lucrative thing they tried a little while ago, the sort of European Super League, and have no relegation, I think he's thought well beyond that, and his son Josh. And I'm sure that we're going to become like a world club where we play matches in the States, in South America, and indeed Colombia, I guess at some stage it's going to happen. And that's the future. And you may not like it, Arsenal fans, but everything is pointing in that direction. And many fans, of course, will be watching things like they're watching Cannon Fodder. They'll be watching on telly, because you can only get so many people into London to get and watch the match. But the sort of TV market is still absolutely massive. And just as a final rejoinder, wasn't it interesting that when they awarded the sort of trophy, it wasn't to the captain of the LA Rams, it was to the owner of the LA Rams. So it's a different vibe. It's a celebration of the money that's typical America, isn't it? It's the celebration of the money of the guy who's making money. Not only is he winning cups, but he's making himself and his family an absolute fortune, and they're praising him for it.
Yeah. Because I haven't spoken to Paul and Richard since the transfer window, I want to kind of go back a few steps. We didn't sign anyone apart from a goalkeeper who actually said that coming to Arsenal is a massive gamble. But Paul, are you surprised that we didn't buy a striker and at least a midfielder in the transfer window?
Yes and no. Yes, in the fact that we need to cement the good work that we've started doing throughout this season, and we know that obviously through the COVID situation and everything like that, how short we were. But with everyone back, it is a little bit more rosier. with regards to numbers. We've still got a healthy amount of players to get through 17 odd games of this season to then go into the summer. I just thought maybe it would have been too much of a gamble. And there's always those gambles in January. Yeah, there are players out there, but you're either paying over the odds or, yeah, you are taking a gamble and you're maybe just going for some. I saw the rumour about Icardi and the swap for Aubameyang, and you're suddenly thinking, well, if that was an offer, yeah, I don't disagree with them not going for it because that basically means that you're just signing anyone, you're getting anyone in who might not fit the bill or how you want them to play. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed because I like transfer windows and you always have that proper positive build up to then just. It's almost like that cheap firework display, isn't it? Or you buy the firework and then you just see it go up and you think you've got all excitement to see what it's like, and then all of a sudden it just goes poof, right at the end, and it was like nothing. So it was just we've had a few like that. So I weren't massively surprised, but as I say, I think we were bitten by the Vlahovic deal. I think we were really led on by their agents, I think, because that deal was worked on behind the scenes using us to manufacture the situation, what it ended up being, because there was no way that deal for Juventus was done inside about 12 hours from when it was literally reported, like from when it kind of just said that we weren't no longer in for it or whatever. And then suddenly it's all signed, done, dusted, and you're suddenly thinking, yeah, that was already in place. And they were just using maybe us or putting that rumour out or whatever to manufacture a little bit more money, for the deal and for them. But yeah, sometimes you need to steer clear of players, and that was one of them. But as I say, we haven't signed anyone, but there is hope for the summer that we'll get it right and we'll identify those players. Obviously, we've identified them because there is a list in place. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very intense summer because that business has got to be done early and swiftly, because there's going to be a queue of teams that will be looking for those players. And everyone knows, certainly if all those strikers do leave Arsenal, they know that we are crying out for a striker, and that means then those prices will then go up accordingly, because they know we're desperate. But yeah, it's one of those. Everyone's going to be in for the players, and it just means that the longer it goes on, the less time we've got to start the season with those new players and knowing what we've actually got, because we certainly don't want to be going into the season still umming and ahhing whether or not we've actually got someone or not.
But Paul, very, very quickly. I mean, now you can see Martinelli now has been suspended. So is it not more glaring the fact that they went after Dusan Vlahovic for the longest time? And I think, from what I understood, he wasn't interested in coming to Arsenal anyway. Where was the plan B option? What was the alternative? Instead of going for Vlahovic and literally just saying, well, actually, we'll let him go after the alternative target. In the summer transfer window, how many players do you think we need roughly? What's a ballpark figure of players that Arsenal needs to go for?
I would say 4 or 5.
Are we going to sign 4 or 5 players in a summer transfer window, Paul?
It depends on what you're saying. If you're putting in for the actual targets, and you're then putting in priorities, 2 of them are strikers. You're then looking at an additional midfielder to come in, and then a backup as a right back for Tomiyasu. Even though we've got Cedric, again, he's able backup. It's not like he's totally useless. He can do a job, and he done a job on Thursday. And yeah, you look at it like that. There's players there that can do the job, but as I say, I think the main priority, which I've said all along, is that attacking setup, and it might suddenly change because we might have a Lacazette that does eventually actually sign a contract. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. But it does change the dynamics a little bit. We still need the 20 goals or the 25 goal striker. But if he does stay, then that means there maybe it just is then that one striker that we look to get in, and then he's in there as he is as captain. But again, it's whether or not that's the right choice. Is it the right choice to give him a pay increase, push him up there? We've been bitten before, so that's the key.
Before I go to Richard, just one more question, Paul. Would you bet on Granit Xhaka not getting red carded between now and the end of the season? Here's a question for you.
Up until the end of the season?
Yeah.
Oh.
16 games to go.
16.
16.
He's got at least 4 in him. Yeah, no, I think whoever we're easy to criticise as well, but I thought both those players in midfield on Thursday played fantastic. Certainly going in the book in the first half. They actually were, the 3 maligned players in that squad, and you're looking at the two midfielders and Cedric, and they all played some really decent games on that game, and they're really, really good. But yeah, I don't know. Referees don't like us, do they? No, sad, but no one really likes us really at the minute, which is a good thing. So I quite like that at the minute. We're certainly riling up a few people, but we got to take the decisions away from the referees at the end of the day. But they always seem to find us how silly they are. They always seem to find us. That Martinelli one was, I don't know.
Let's move on. Richard, the transfer window, was it a farce? Was it a disaster class?
No, I think it's a mixture. I mean, it was good to trim the fat and get rid of the stuff. I would have liked to see a midfielder in. I don't think we should have gone for a striker just for the sake of it, and hold out till the summer until we can get our top targets. I would have said a midfielder on loan just because we were short of the time. Yes, we've got people back, but injury, suspension can happen, and having an extra quality body in there would have been handy just to see us out to the end of the season. Other than that, I was quite pleased. I mean, we got rid of Aubameyang, that needed to be sorted. That's a massive wage bill. That means we can go big on a striker in the summer. We've Maitland-Niles is gone. Whether I think I would have preferred to keep him and maybe add him as a right back option. I don't think he's done enough in his time here to warrant that midfield place, but it would have been an extra body with experience. So, but on the other hand, as I said, we've trimmed that wage bill. We've got rid of players that were mediocre at best, and we can look forward to the summer and see what Edu and his team do in the summer.
Richard, you said that we had to get rid of Aubameyang. Was there literally no way back for Aubameyang?
I don't think there was. I think I think whatever happened, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and there was no way Arteta was having him back in the fold. And you can say that's Arteta's fault, but Aubameyang obviously did something wrong, and it might have been a build-up of 2 or 3 things, but he was a club captain. He's on the top wages. You've got to be professional and lead by example. If you're in any other job, you do something like that. Second time you're out, you're out the door. You don't get those chances, and it would have just been a millstone. You'd have had to play Aubameyang in the background, not playing, training with under 21s, and every time we come in a sticky patch, that question would be thrown up. It's gone. He's over in Barcelona. It'll probably still be brought up, but he's not at the club to be a distraction, is he?
Yeah, you're right. But you know what, Richard? I hear the debate about one rule for one, another rule for another player. And what I'm alluding to is Granit Xhaka, with all his indiscretions, all the things that he's done, he's still at Arsenal Football Club. And yet, Aubameyang did what he did.
I hear what you're saying, but has Granit Xhaka literally in Arteta's reign being disrespectful, turned up late? Yes, he's got himself carded, but players will get yellow cards, red cards, and I mean,
not as much as Granit Xhaka.
Patrick Vieira had 8 in his time for us, but at the moment they didn't get rid of him in the summer because the money on offer wasn't acceptable, which I agree with. If you're not going to get what you want, you keep the player. But then they had to re-sign him to make sure they didn't lose any more money on him, and hopefully, with no disrespect to Granit, that in the summer, well, somebody will come in, we'll get the money we want, and we can add that to getting an upgrade in that midfield area, because we do need an upgrade. He is too slow, and that's his problem. If you were looking at what he does with a ball, passing and bits and pieces, you wouldn't have an issue. It's the fact that defensively he's too slow. He'll put his foot out, make a tackle, and get himself carded, or we go to ground trying to rectify a mistake, and because he's not fast enough, he doesn't get back in time, and it looks worse than it actually is. So,
all right. Before I go to Eltel, Paul, you want to say something, don't you, Paul?
No. Funny enough, I was. I thought about pulling him up. Yeah, I think the Xhaka part was more to do with. I think he's never lost his professionalism. He might have had that. He might have had that kind of ricket where he's reacted on the pitch, which was unforgivable to some. And yeah, it wasn't right. He shouldn't have done it, but it was a mistake. But I think the professional attitude, and if you're talking about how you're actually as a footballer, you'd want to be someone like him. You don't really hear about him outside of football. You very rarely. They're the players that you really kind of want at your club. You don't want to hear about he's done this or he's been out and about here and there and everywhere. He just gets on with it and he does it. And yeah, he might not be the Rolls Royce. He might have all the polished chrome and all that, but he does a job. And he's what we've got. Yeah, until we get that upgrade.
That's true. Yeah.
We have to play. He's one of the best of what we've got in that area. So if he is used in those defensive areas, he needs to be played a little bit further forward, like he was on Thursday, funnily enough. Because Partey was that kind of holding player, and he was playing a little bit further up. But as I say, that's Thursday.
Yeah. So, Paul, very quickly before I go to Eltel. So was there literally no way back for Aubameyang? There was no way back for him?
There always is a way back, but it was then down to, do you actually think that someone like Aubameyang could change the way he is? That's why I look at it. And I'll talk about the professionalism and stuff. How can you be a professional player, a captain for Arsenal, and turn up late for North London Derby, the biggest game of the season, as captain, and you're trying to show responsibility and you're trying to lead by example? That's just unforgivable. I'd struggle to be late if I was living in Yorkshire, let alone round the corner from the How can you be late like that. Get an Uber. Sort yourself out. But yeah, no, they had a total balls up there. It was just silly. No, it's just, but that's just one of many.
Yeah,
just one of many things that I imagine has happened. And I totally agree with Arteta how he's done it. It's made us weaker because we have lost a player like that, but he hasn't performed. So the weakness hasn't really weakened us that bad. But no way back. No way back.
No way back. Tell your thoughts.
Well,
Granit Xhaka.
Well, I think we're going to get a bloke called Earl agreeing with me or me agreeing with Earl. I've always said that Xhaka's half a player. He's going forward. He's fine. In fact, he's excellent. He produces these lovely threaded, beautifully weighted through balls. As a left-sided number 8, he's superb. But don't ever ask him to tackle, because he just cannot tackle. And they knew that when they first bought him. And that was one of the first comments that was around about him. This guy's a lovely player, but he can't tackle. And we have suffered abysmally over the fact that we keep forgetting that. We played him at left back in the Villarreal semi-final second leg. This man cannot tackle, right? So, Santa Claus is there for Christmas, but you don't bring him out on a hot beach to sell you ice cream, right? So it's horses for courses, and this man cannot tackle. Okay, so everything else follows from that. All the red cards, the whole shebang is because he can't tackle, right? It's different with Martinelli. He was incredibly unfortunate that referee at the Wolves game, the crowd was sort of getting onto him and baiting him, and he had a little bit of, I mean, somebody said quite rightly, I think it might have been Ray Pollard or somebody, that actually it didn't help the game. It destroyed the game as a spectacle. It's a bit like going to see Hamlet and then somebody sending Hamlet off. You've only got the rest of them standing around. And all he needed to have done was to have booked him either for obstructing the throw-on, which was an illegal throw-on anyway, or booked him once. And I thought when he started pointing in both directions, he was saying this is for continual misconduct, several, but he didn't. And it was just silly. And it ruined the game in a kind of crazy way. It forced us into a defensive setup. And of course, football's a low-scoring game. And a big well done, by the way. I'm sure people, even Earl, might agree with this. Well done to Wolves for scoring 2 goals with no reply up at our North London neighbours. And of course, football, is it Bruno Lage, he calls himself? He's worked out now that football is a low-scoring game. So, as George Graham found out, if you can keep a clean sheet and score 1 goal, it's good night Vienna. We're headed off to Vienna now, but so Arsenal have to bear that in mind. We are a defensive. If we have to be, we are a good defensive setup. We've got some good players. Rob Holding was absolute kingpin. He was only on for about 20 minutes, but he was superb. So Ober's gone. There was a lot more to it than we've seen. He obviously called out Arteta and. Goodness knows if they were pulling and dragging and pushing each other around the dressing room. Who knows, But he's gone. Good luck to him. He was largely instrumental in us winning the FA Cup and move on. But what I would say, guys, is that this striker we're going to get is going to be a tall guy. Not only have they been looking at the Vlahovic one, which failed. They've got a guy here. You might have seen it. He's a 6'3" guy. His name is Armando Broja or Broja, but I think it might be pronounced Broja. He's born in the UK of Albanian parents, and he's 6'3". Bing, bing, bing. Okay. They've also been looking at in his 20s, so it's again this young person project. There's also another fella they're looking at now. Alex, you might know how to pronounce his surname. His name looks to me like Rafael Leao, Leao. Would that be Liao?
Leao.
And again, he's
Leo.
6'2.5". He scores goals for fun. He's 22 years of age. He's a Portuguese international. So you can see that Arteta still, I mean, a lot of people call him Guardiola light. Well, yes, you can see masses. 80% of him is straight Guardiola, but I don't think he wants the small forwards that we see Klopp use and Guardiola use. I think he wants this tall centre forward. Well, he does, because they're all 6'3". And obviously, we're going to be the team that constantly pumps over crosses. And, you know, if you've got a big enough guy there, he will score. You know, a lot of people forget that Giroud did wonderfully well for us, although he was limited. I mean, he scored goal after goal. I remember there was one of the cup finals, was it Villa, that we won 4-0. And again, he scored the fourth goal, and I think he set up the third, you know, and he'd only come on as sub. So if you have a skillful centre forward who's a big guy, he's always going to cause problems, nod the ball in, you know, and we are a team that crosses the ball an enormous amount, which is all the people that looked at our system against Wolves was we didn't go down the centre of the pitch against Wolves because they're so strong, and we went around the side. But the Wolves have done very, very well. And the next game, I know we got Brentford next, and then after that, Wolves. That Wolves match is going to be a tough game. And I would be doing a George Graham. Remember the match up at Anfield in '89? George said to the players, go out and I want a 0-0 at half time. Don't break your necks. Don't try and score, because you'll lose the ball as you're attacking, and then they'll score a breakaway goal. So come in 0-0 and then take them in the second half. And when you're going to play Wolves, they are not going to score many goals. But my goodness, you're going to have, as Arteta said, you do well to even score a goal against Wolves. And it was this guy they've got that is doing the set pieces is an absolute genius. He came from Man City. And I think I'm right in saying we haven't let in a goal from a corner all season. And that goal was a kind of a corner set piece. To be honest, once the ball is pinging about the sort of 6-yard box, anybody can score. Yeah. So a lot to look forward to, but definitely next season we will have a big centre forward there, and it won't be anybody that we've sent out on loan, because none of our forwards are big guys. They're all like 5'8", 5'9". So. Hopefully we'll get somebody good in. The bloke at Everton they're sort of looking at, but he's going to cost a fortune. I think this Armando Broja fella is looking good because he's tried and tested. He's unfortunately Chelsea. He's a Chelsea player, but he's on loan at Southampton. And I've looked back through his career, and he scores a goal every 3 games. Okay, he scores in 3 games. He'll normally score a goal if you extrapolate it over a season. Well, that's fair. That's a decent haul, and the fact that he's still young, 20 means he's going to improve. So look forward to a big centre forward at last. Hooray.
Yeah. So, a quick question. So, are you happy in the knowledge that maybe we're going to secure top 4? Are you more confident, top 4?
Yes, I thought at the start of the season we'd be doing well with top 6. But Tottenham are falling away. Sorry, I can't stop laughing. I remember, can I tell this quick story? We were playing, I think it was Sheffield United in the Cup many years ago. I think it was, or was it Sunderland. Yeah, it was team in red and white stripes. Yeah, obviously they changed, and we got larruped. We got well beaten 3 or 4-1 in the FA Cup, and I'm along with thousands of other Arsenal fans, I disconsolately trudged my way up to Finsbury Park to sort of get on the tube. And there was a massive crush as you go into the tube station. And it was mostly Arsenal fans and a small little group of Sunderland fans. and they obviously knew they were surrounded by Arsenal fans. And one fella says in his northern accent to the other, says, "How are you feeling?" And the other fella said, can't stop laughing. They were rubbing it in. I thought that was funny. So no, Tottenham are not doing well, and it looks like Conte may not turn it round between now and the end of the season. And if that's the case, I think they were our biggest threat. I think Man United are all over the place. They don't, they've got probably the best set of players, but they've been very poor tactically and motivation wise. So I think Tottenham were always looking to be the team most likely to get fourth place. West Ham, they pulled a lucky draw the other night, having been a goal down. So I've got a feeling that Arsenal, if you were to sort of weigh it up, Arsenal have got a very good chance now, but they've got to go on a roll, and it's got to be like a machine. Arsenal at the best of times were very like a machine. They had 1-0 wins. 1-0 to the Arsenal was the famous thing. You've got to get a very tight defence. If you're going to win anything in the English Premier League, your defence has to be absolutely superb. Don't break your neck on attacking, because that's how teams like the Liverpool team will pick you off, and Man City will pick you off. So keep it straight, keep it solid at home, especially because that's where Wolves are dangerous. They are going to be tricky when they come to us. Just Arsenal, just make sure it's 0-0 at half time and pick them off in the second half.
Paul, confident top four? Yeah. I can see face, mate. You're confident.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I'll talk to myself. It's fine. Yeah, no, I wasn't confident because I thought still there'll be teams around us that should be more consistent. We've kind of defaulting into this position because others don't want it. Remember the Leicester season, Tottenham finishing third in the second in the two-horse race. Everyone wanted to kind of just not. They were doing their best to like not get into like the top positions. They kept on losing. Everyone was just losing games, dropping points, and we find ourselves in a situation where if we win our games in hand, we end up being 2 points behind Chelsea. And we've got to play them. And you suddenly think in these next 4 games against teams that are mid-table, you're looking at Leicester, you're looking at Aston Villa, Watford, and then Brentford and Wolves again on the return. Get 5 wins out of those, or 4 wins and a draw or whatever. We're in a cracking position. And yeah, we've got the games in hand, but they're going to be tough games. But if we get those points on the board early, before they actually come in and rearrange, then they might not matter. We can afford to go and lose to a Chelsea or a Liverpool, and we'd still be ahead of what's around us. So yeah, I'm now confident now. It's all about us now. It is in our hands. We've got like 16 cup finals now.
Yeah.
That's all you can look at. You go from Thursday to then not having a game this week to then the following Saturday. It is another big game, and yeah, the games there's a long rest period between them now until we get the rearranged stuff coming on into midweek games. But yeah, we've got this little run in now to really kind of focus on and drill down and make sure we get the points early. And if we can get those points on the board, then yeah, no one's going to have the chance to kind of come back at us because we've done the job. So yeah, but it's a big games. There's some big games coming up for all teams. All teams playing everyone now. Tottenham have got City at the weekend. You know, there's another chance that we actually go ahead of them even further. But then yeah, chuck it forward a few weeks. We've got them some big games. So. Yeah, one of those, but yeah, no, I'm positive. I'm not really positive about what will happen to us come next season, mind. That's a different story. Because are we equipped for that? I don't think so. Certainly not now. And this is where I talk about the 4 or 5 players probably becomes 7 or 8. That's if you're looking at that on those front and looking to have those squads of players to kind of deal with Champions League as well as domestic. Yes, we could field some youth players in the cups, but we're definitely going to need to really, really improve numbers with quality because, there's potential that we get eaten alive. We were kind of eaten alive a few times when we had a decent enough squad in the Champions League readily, let alone going in with one that's undercooked and not enough there. But I don't know. I think it'll be a big improvement needed in the numbers.
All right. Richard, confident top 4?
I've been pretty confident since the start of the season. I said 72 to 76 points should be enough for top 4. The only real concern would have been United with the depth in squad depth that they had and the quality in depth that they had at the time, but they haven't been able to gel that together. West Ham aren't bad, but they don't have the depth in squad. Tottenham just a shambles at the moment, and even with Conte in there, still a shambles, and he must be pulling his hair out. I still think
his hair's fake, by the way. It's off the back of his neck.
Well, whoever makes these wigs will be happy then.
No, he's gone to he went to the same place our centre back went to. Holding. They take it off the back of your neck and goodness knows where else. Stick it up on top of the head.
Yeah, he looks a bit like is it Max Miller, the comedian? Yeah, no, I still think for another 37 points out of the remaining 48 should see us top 4. 76 points. I don't think 4th spot will be any higher than 76 points this season. And I'll tell you what, as Paul said, you win the next 3 games. We've got 9 points. That pulls us 2 points to Chelsea, and it could pull Chelsea into that 4th spot fight. And then anything happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, you guys looking too far into the future. Let's just try and focus on the next game at hand, and that's just.
I mean,
it has to be. That's the long. That's the short range. We got to be looking for that, and
exactly.
But every game is a cup final, so it is game by game.
Yeah. I think we've got 2 tough games. Brentford, we know are tough, and they've given every team in the league a tough game. And and Wolves, they're tough to beat. They don't score many goals, but if they get a goal ahead, they don't usually lose.
Yeah.
So that's also a tough game, and they made Spurs look ordinary.
That's because Spurs are ordinary, Richard.
Yeah, I mean,
I know what you mean.
I'll tell you what, I'd take Neves now. You see how he was spraying that ball about and the quality and range of his passing, long diagonals. I'll pick up on what ARTETA said. He said about the big striker, 6'3". I think another reason we will want him is to hold that long ball up from Ramsdale, because Lacazette isn't that tall, and the bigger defenders and the more robust defenders tend to get over the top of him, and we don't keep that ball stuck up. With a bigger focal point, that ball sticks a bit more.
Remember when he first came
way out and the way round that decent press.
Sorry, Paul, you were saying something?
Just remember going back to when Giroud was had started.
Yeah.
He'd come in and he'd be holding 3 players off him. So he'd be just holding the ball up, bringing the ball down, and then laying it onto a Cazorla, and just then the play gets built up and pushed around, and it was just that presence, and then that always occupies defenders, and no matter what, that is something that we've missed since we got rid of Giroud, and that was it was the way our philosophy changed. We started playing a lot further away from Giroud, so Giroud would then be starting to hold the ball up, but then no one was coming around close to him. So he'd end up losing the ball because he's brought the ball down under pressure, but there's no one to lay the ball onto. So the gaps between him and the other players were just getting too big. Hence why he found his way out the team and now at Chelsea. But we do miss that.
Paul, very quickly, do you think? I mean, until Martinelli comes back, would you take a punt and actually play him out as an out-and-out striker, rather than him coming out on the wing? And by the time he gets the ball, he's got like 3 or 4 players to take on. So would you not play him as an out-and-out striker, or are we going too far with Martinelli?
I think if we had the style of play of playing the ball through, allowing him to get behind defenders, and that means a quick build-up and a ball through so he can run onto Thierry Henry-esque. If you're saying giving those little through balls into him, then yes, there's a potential. When it's slightly methodical and patient and always getting that ball moved across to try and look for space, then no, because he's going to get crowded out. And I think this is why he probably took so long to get back into the team when he had the injury, because he needed to toughen up and he needed to really beef up a little bit with the physicality side. And I think it'll be knocked about too much down the centre. I think he's got a bit more space in and around the wings and the channels to kind of come in and work off other people as opposed to leading the line and getting behind. So yeah, having him alongside someone with presence, then there is that ability, so he could then play off and just be the foil. And he made a little flick on to run onto. But yeah, to put him in middle, and I think we've tried it a couple of times previous, and he did look a little short of the actual physicality side. So yeah, no, I don't think he would be the option.
Yeah, good summation. Till, do you want to say something before I go into the live chat?
Well, I did read that they're trying Martinelli out as a centre forward in training, but as Paul was saying, I don't think he's got the attributes. He doesn't. I mean, Laka plays well with his back to the game. Unfortunately, he's not 6'3". But if you put Martinelli there, it's as bad as putting Pepe there. They're both players who like to run at the opposition. And our biggest mistake with Pepe, of course, is we can never get him into a position where he's in the area running with the ball. Because that's how he scored all his goals with his previous club. You know, he was phenomenal running into the area, and he could place the ball past the goalkeeper just by stroking it past without it being a rocket, you know. And we've failed to sort of replicate. I think he's failed to replicate his form because we're not playing him the way he played in the French league. So he may well be a spare at the end of the season, but it would be nice for him to have a swan song with us and come on maybe in the next 2 matches, maybe come on a sub with half an hour to go and see if they can get him into the area facing the opposition, because he's got a bag of tricks. I think they asked Laka and a few of the others, who's the most skillful player? And they said Pepe. Because he's got that nutmeg, and he could do this, he can do that, you know. And if you get that player into the area, as long as it's not the opposition haven't funneled back, then he can do massive damage. And that's how he scored all the goals this season before he sort of came to us, you know. So and I don't think Martinelli, the way we play, I don't think he can really. He's just going to get kicked and pushed and hammered, and they're going to rake the back of his calf. And I just don't see that, you know. He's far better when he's got space out wide where he can run at people with absolutely electric pace. I mean, I know a lot of people have had a go at Edu, and probably quite rightly so for the way he conducted the Vlahovic transfer. Because he was naive enough not to see that the whole Arsenal thing was just a smokescreen, so that Juve could sort of buy him. But I mean, we plucked him out of the 4th division, I think, in the Brazilian league, and he's absolutely electric pace. His first touch is much improved. He must be a nightmare for any defender, because the famous line they said to the famous Arsenal defence was, "What kind of attacker don't you like to play against?" And they all said, a pacey, a fast guy that would just zip past you. So it'd be interesting to see if he has done well in training and they play him as a number 9. But I don't see it. I see a player who breaks into the area at fantastic space, and he commits people. And he can go either way, which Pepe doesn't do. He can go on his weaker foot and cross the ball and so on. Whereas Pepe, he only uses his right foot for standing on.
Let's go to the live chat. First up, we've got John the Geezer Guna. He says, "Evening, Gunners, come on, you red." And what do we have here? We've got Irini Stakar, who says, "Evening, gentlemen."
Evening.
Why are we still talking about the Rams and the Sheets? It wasn't me. Actually, it was me. Sadly, I think Terry is bang on about Arsenal and Kroenke's vision. What is the vision? To make Arsenal into a franchise, Paul?
No, I think that's a byproduct of it. I just think he's seen us as the cash cow and the way of being able to pilfer the money to support his many other kind of franchises, and that goes from the way he hasn't actually put in any of his own money into the club. He's used it to take the profits from the club, taking it off the public stock market, so it's all now private, and he's now running it how he sees it and using the smoke screen of not doing any or making any action until we actually had the full control of the club. Until like that, yeah. So this is why we talk. Well, we're sitting here talking about how far we've fallen and the fall from grace of where we are now is because of that lack of investment when we moved to that beautiful stadium behind me. It's not that beautiful now because it is looking a little bit outdated, but a little investment. I'm not talking chucking billions, but certainly think we'd be in a damn sight better shape than we are now. And we'd be talking a lot more positively if there was that little bit of investment when we had those decent players playing for the club. But yeah, I don't. The vision, no, I just think it's just to make as much money for him as possible. I don't think there is any vision about turning us into a superstar club of winning trophies. I don't know. It doesn't fill me with the encouragement for him to actually say that. Yeah, I bought a club to win it all. Not like Abramovich, where you say he spent all the money, although he didn't look too happy about winning the club. Thank God they never gave him the trophy. I'll tell you, it would have been a proper write-off. But vision-wise, I think it's just all the money for him.
Yeah. When he says the only way KSE, not KFC, KSE will sell the club is if the fans stop attending home games. Of course, that will never happen, Richard. Never happen.
No, I think with what was going on with him, Kroenke being sued, if he was going to sell, that would have been the time. Now the Rams have won, and he's got quite a bit of money from that. He will have no reason or intention of selling now, because that win will have put him in good stead and means that all that money he's got to pay back the other owners for transferring, he's in a better position. He won't sell us, and it's just now a case of see what happens.
Yeah. But Tel, from what I remember, what I understand, he's brought Arsenal as a legacy to give to Josh anyway. So the Kroenke is going to be.
Well, I think that was when people were having a go at Uncle Stan, and it looked like. Do you remember? I think you rocked up to one of the demonstrations outside the stadium. We had two there, didn't we? In quick succession. When the heat was coming on, and people took photographs and put them through a red filter with all the red smoke and stuff, and it all looked good. And so he said, "Well, actually, it's Josh who's in charge." Very clever move, because he's silent Stan, and suddenly you've got this young-looking guy, and people are going, "Oh, we'll have to find out about him." And that was a very clever move. He sidestepped himself being in the firing line. I mean, none of us trusted a bloke with a syrup on his head for a start. You know, he's a multi-millionaire and he can't even get a decent syrup. You know, sorry for anybody who doesn't come from London or whatever. A syrup of figs is a wig. Is a wig, and he's got for all his money. I mean, he should get one like Elton John. I mean, that looks quite sort of decent, doesn't it? You know,
his suits aren't much better either.
Yeah, but so he's not going to sell. He's got a history of never having sold a club, and it's almost like he's sitting on Arsenal because it's the goose that lays this sort of golden egg. You're guaranteed 60,000 or near 60,000 crowd. The Arsenal can only appreciate in value. It's like these people who've bought a house or something or a flat in London, you know, even with little minor crashes or whatever, sooner or later, the house price goes up. And that's what's happening with Arsenal. Real estate Arsenal will continue to go up. I do keep an eye out on Dial Square. We did talk a bit about this in previous programs. The guy that bought or started off Dial Square used to own Addlestone United down there in Surrey, and that went a bit belly up for him. I think I can't remember, but anyway, whatever happened there, he then decided to start again at Dial Square. But I don't know how well that's doing. It's if you're going to challenge Arsenal and revamp and do it, make it a Phoenix club. I think you've got to get slightly closer to North London. There's plenty of smaller clubs around North London that you could sort of piggyback into. So I don't know if that will ever happen. It would be lovely if it did, and I'd be very interested in backing it and supporting it, but only like Wimbledon, a fans club. AFC stands for a fans club. Wimbledon, where every single person who follows the club owns a part of it. I mean, we used to have that, didn't we? And we had the sort of benevolent Hillwoods there who would keep in the background, and instead of like Kroenke going up and receiving the trophy, it would be Tony Adams or Frank McClintock before him. So it's unfortunately, money talks, and the big buck talks, and we are the goose that laid the golden egg. So I can't see anything changing. It's a real shame. It's lovely to get back to sort of grassroots sport, which I do a little bit of with Tim, who comes on this channel a few times. And Tim and I, well, it's mainly Tim is the absolute genius behind a title-winning hurling team, and then it's great to get back to grassroots sports where everybody enjoys it. The local community are involved. All the local people are involved. Well, Arsenal isn't like that. He wants it to spread across Europe, and I'm sure, as I said earlier, he wants it to spread across the States. So I notice DWTT is on, and I can tell you, Gary, that we'll be playing in at New Jersey, down by the New Jersey Palisades inside the next 4 or 5 years. That's a dot on the cards, mate.
Let's go back into the chat. We've got what else have we got here? Oh yeah. Oh, said Alex BA. We're talking about Granit Xhaka. Well, what did I say about Granit Xhaka? Transfers. What transfer window? Listen, brother. Arsenal ain't gonna sign any player because no one wants to come to Arsenal. Richard, is that true? Nobody wants to come to Arsenal.
I mean, you've got to say that Vahalovic always wanted to go to Juve,
yeah.
and it was never a thing. Was it then right to go and pay 72 million to get Isaac out of his contract in the winter? No, he's not worth it. He's not worth that money. Come the summer, revisit it, maybe at a lower price, or go and get Calvert-Lewin and get value for money. I think we've been stung before for paying over odds for a player when we didn't really need them, and I'd rather wait till the summer. And there'll be plenty of. We've got history. We've got a rich tradition, and it's London again. Players will want to come to London. It's just making sure you identify those players, you get in early, you do the groundwork early, and then you've got them in before the seasons, before pre-season starts, or at least halfway through pre-season, so that they can start gelling and you can start seeing the benefits by the time the season gets up running.
Which I understand what you're saying now, until the summer. But what about the here and now? The here and now.
Did we need something in the winter? It's a hard one because those players coming in January, you haven't got as long to gel with a team. You don't get any pre-season, and they might not have hit the ground running. And then it would have been, oh no, look at Arsenal doing shoddy business. I think they were sensible. Again, a lone midfielder would have been nice, but striker, we were scoring goals from different parts of the pitch, and I think we can probably manage without until the summer. But in the summer, that's the area of investment, big area of investment we need, and we need to spend big. If we've got aspirations of staying top four and competing for anywhere else, we got to spend serious money. I think, like Freya said, you're looking at 4 to 5 players, two strikers, or a striker and a forward that can play across the front three, 2 central midfielders, and a right back up for Tomiyasu.
And you really think we're going to get that business done in the summer transfer window? Minimum 4 to 5 players.
Yeah, I think we'll get. I think we'll get four in minimum. I don't, and that fifth player will depend on if we get rid of Xhaka, if we get rid of Maitland-Niles, if Bellerin goes, and Torreira, if we actually get them off the books and get money in for them, then I think we'll have a bit more to play with.
I think we could be looking as well at the sort of tactical changes that Arteta's doing, because I think he's very aware that the party experiment hasn't worked, and in the most recent games he's played Xhaka much further forward and tried Partey as the sort of pivot, because Partey has looked half the player he looked at Atletico Madrid, and I do think he's lacking a little bit of pace and that little bit of snap in his play. His first touch isn't great, and we spent an awful. Arteta went off to Uncle Stan and borrowed the money for that, and of course his head's on the chopping block now. So I think he's doing everything he can to find a way of incorporating Partey successfully into the team, and that's not. Look, I've got to say, I've not been particularly impressed with Partey. He plays too many loose balls, and he doesn't seem up to pace. But I don't think he'll sell him. I think he's going to having having twisted Stanley's arm for it. He's going to have to play him into form somehow. But sometimes players from La Liga, they struggle for pace. Torreira might be a perfect example. If you put him in the Italian or the French leagues or Portuguese, he looks fine. And Spanish league, he looks fine. But in the EPL, he was a small space player. He couldn't get about the pitch unless the ball's close to him. He couldn't affect things. Now he's back in Italy. He's looking a good player again with Roma. So I would have thought, and it's not just me seeing this. I think a lot of people see it, and hence I think we're going to end up seeing Xhaka go off to Roma, and I think he'll be a big success because he plays that slow, quick, slow game that they play in Italy. It's perfect for him. But the helter-skelter breakneck pace of the EPL, you've got to be able to sort of. That's why I think Arteta was looking at Yuri Tielemans from Leicester, because he's tried and tested. And what's the name of that centre forward at Everton? That I think he's an Arsenal fan as well. They were looking at them because they're tried and tested. There's always a danger that if you take a player from another league and put it in the EPL, suddenly you notice the player isn't tough enough, fast enough, quick enough, snappy enough. There's certain things, certain qualities you need. So Saliba, for instance, there must have been something or several things in Saliba's game that he just didn't like the sort of look of, and now he's looking a much better player. And of course, centre backs don't mature until they're in their sort of late 20s, you know. So I remember Van Dijk when he played for Celtic, and I thought he looked quite a tasty player, green as grass. But and of course, as he's got older, he's got better and better and better. And we saw that Adams was still, you know, pulling up trees at the age of 32. So I think Saliba will come back, and I think tactically that's us sorted then, because we'll keep holding, and we've already got two excellent centre backs. So it's just this midfield now really to sort out, and I'm pretty sure they'll keep Partey. Xhaka will go, and then they've got to get somebody in there, and maybe they'll go for Tielemans because he. But then people tell me who watch Leicester that he's a hot and cold player. Some days he plays an absolute blinder, and then he just disappears the sort of following match. So I do hope that Arteta, being a midfielder, I have this theory that if you're a midfielder, if you're whatever position you played as a player, that is your blind spot. So you know, and that can be true. I mean, George Graham was never a defender, but my goodness, he could create a fantastic defence, you know. And in his latter years, our forward line was just Ian Wright. If Ian Wright wasn't scoring, we weren't scoring. And I do worry that Arteta has made various attempts at creating a good midfield, none of which have really worked. But he's certainly done wonders in creating a decent defence there. And that defence will only go from strength to strength. They're all young lads. They're all 23, 24, 22. Tomiyasu, I think the Scots lad on the left is probably the oldest. We've got a goalkeeper who's 23, and they don't mature until their very late 20s, early 30s. So we've got a defence that will get better and better and better. So you've got the springboard for a very good team. But this midfield business, he will definitely go for a big centre forward, and that's that bit done. And then he'll spend a lot of his time looking for some decent midfielders.
Paul, did you want to say something, Paul, before I go back into the live chat?
No, it's quite good as you were saying about Saliba, and you're looking at the development and what Arteta thought about he would bring to the table. And obviously there was something there that was throwing a little red flag up. So he's gone on loan. He's gone on loan there, and he's showing what he can do. And you just look at it and you think, well, yeah, I'd rather him get game time week in, week out and show what a good player he is to having him and being a bit part. Would he be the number one choice in central defence in this as we look at this season? We brought in White, and you've got Gabriel in there. How many games would he play in this season? When we're just looking at it like that, without knowing what he can do, what he's been, what he's been doing at Marseille, and you're suddenly thinking, he's going to take this season very well because he's had the game time, and he's going to come back in the summer with that experience, and he's now going to be saying, "I'm ready for it now, and I want to show what I can do." And I don't close the door on Guendouzi coming back, and it might be a controversial one, and probably a bit more unlikely, but he could be another midfielder that comes in, and we still think we need another midfielder. But out of all those players on loan, 9 or 11 players on loan, I think only 2 will remain with us next year.
Wow,
that's what I think. I think everyone else will be sold, but that midfield position is open, and Guendouzi, if he comes back and again shows the ability to kind of come back and actually want to play for Arteta and shows the actual professional side of things, then there is a chance for him. But if he doesn't and he comes back like a little spoiled kind of player that he has seemingly been, then there probably isn't that opportunity. And we talk about the Aubameyang. Is it the last chance? No.
Lads, I have to say, we have an amazing contributor here. I've just read his stuff. This guy is brilliant. Why not Sentiment FC? He says Arteta is blind to talent and is an arrogant, narcissistic pork chop. I mean, that guy's brilliant. Is there any way of getting him on? Because his turn of phrase is superb. I love it.
I'll have to vet him first, still.
Get him on.
All right. Actually, Paul, I was going to ask you very quickly about Lucas Torreira. Would you take him back, or you think no?
I think he's been tried enough. I think when he was there, and he may have had the odd game that it looked useful. I just think physicality side of things, I think he got a bit caught up in it all, and again, pace. I don't think he's suited to the game, physically or speed wise. But I don't think the state of the midfield really helped him. I think it's still hurting us now where we haven't got a balanced midfield.
Yeah,
and that's part of the issue. Having an unbalanced midfield will make the best player look like Granit Xhaka. Joke.
I did want to laugh, but
that's it. You're looking at it and you're thinking any player will look average playing in that unit, and it's one of those. If we get the right players in there alongside what we've got, then we can get it sorted. But the main thing is we've become hard to beat, and that is the main focus. If we looked at 3 years previous, we were saying what we want as a club or as our team. We want to be hard to beat. We want to make sure that we are secure and solid at the back, and we've got that finally.
Yeah.
Now we just need to add that stability in the midfield, because that unbalanced midfield was being totally made to look even worse by a really bad defence, because that defence was really, really poor as well. We were leaking goals left, right, and centre through mistakes. But yeah.
All right. DWTT says many strikers were available in the summer, but Arsenal decided it was better to keep Nketiah and not rip up contracts like Auba. The article describes Casey's business model. It's not about the sports team. It's about real estate. There's a good question. Would Usmanov been a better owner than KSE, Richard?
Hard one, isn't it? I mean, you don't know. I mean, look at his input at Everton. How have they done with him jumping on board there? Has it been any better? I don't know. I mean, we know what we've got with KSE. It's not great, but would you say them not being any better? No, I don't think so. I think we could have done a lot better on KSE, and still could, but you always take a chance. It's always a risk.
It's that whole investment side, isn't it?
Buying players. There's always a risk. It's got to. It's the actions and what they do, not what they say, and it's what they do to will be the proof, won't it?
Yeah. Well said, actually. DWTT says that Arsenal won't get better until they have players over the age of 26 who are big contributors to the start and play of Arteta wants. Every time a player is mentioned, consistency is the main issue. And that's it, Tel. You know, with Arsenal, one thing we've been good at is the inconsistency.
Yeah, I mean, our best teams over the years and decades have been teams that had a smattering of youth, players in their mid-20s, and a few what we might call old wise heads, you know. And yes, this Project Youth is great, and we've got some wonderful up and coming players. We've got some great youth players coming through, but I can see what Gary's saying, which is that you've got to have a few steady heads there. Well, of course, Xhaka is not a steady head. He sees the sort of red mist and off it goes. So I can't see the biggest problem is that if you buy a top quality player who's 26, 27, 28, then they're going to cost the earth. And of course, we're looking not exactly in the bucket basement thing, but we are looking for some cheap buys that we can mold into players. What was it Wenger said? We don't buy superstars, we make them, you know. So I suspect that Arteta talks about the word the project that he's doing, you know, the system he's building, and I suspect we're at least two years off a serious challenge. They say actually in a lot of businesses and certainly in schools, if you're going to turn a failing school round, then you don't suddenly do it, because that's just a quick blip up and then it goes down. And I think the fact that we came 8th, if we can get 6th or 4th or 5th this year, you know, excellent. And then maybe push on 2 more the following year as the players get older and more mature. So I'd say to Arsenal fans, you've got to look at this long term. You know, there's some very good teams up in front of us who, I mean, Man City are owned by a whole country, for crying out loud, you know, and however big Kroenke thinks he isn't quite yet a whole country, you know. And so we're going to have to take it step by step. Yeah, I reckon if we get anything above 6th, as I said at the start of the season, we're looking a good bet now for 4th or 5th. I think if we get 5th, that puts us into that dreaded Conference League or something, doesn't it? That nobody wants, you know. So except Stanley Kroenke, because it means more money, of course, you know. But then if you're going to start playing either in the Conference League or the Champions League, the squad we've got now is too thin. It's not going to do it. You're going to get injuries like we've got with Tommy currently, and suddenly we haven't got a great backup, although Cedric did well recently. So yes, we've got 16 matches left, and barring a disaster of somebody crucial getting an injury, we should play it out reasonably well. As long as we realise that football's a low-scoring game, don't let the opposition score and sneak a goal. If you're up against teams that you're obviously a lot better than, then that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But we've got some very big games coming up, and you know, I think it'll be tight at the end. I'm sure Tottenham will rally, and West Ham have got a decent squad. Then they've got a very experienced manager. You know, who knows what Man United are doing? I mean, I can't predict the way they're playing at all. It looks a fight between the sort of manager and Rangnick and his players, you know.
Well, who's at the wheel?
It's going to be tight, lads. I mean, this is all part of the joy of being a football fan. Is we could come anywhere from 4th down to 8th, depending on, you know, form, injuries, a bit of luck. You know, so it'll be an interesting end to the season.
Yeah. A few more comments. Arsenal need between 3 and 4 midfielders, not just 2. I want Patino and Lokonga on loan to the Championship next season. Goodness. Ty Gonosaurus says, good evening, good evening. Says, Torreira was great. We ruined him, playing him as a 10. I remember that, actually, on Unai Emery. And to be fair, he was struggling with life in London and the language, of course. True says it's Arteta who seems to have a problem with players who have a winning mentality. Arsenal could have done with Guendouzi and Saliba, letting Orba on a free ball.
Do you know what Arteta doesn't like? He doesn't like a loose cannon. You know, I know this is cannon fodder. He doesn't like a loose cannon, a guy you don't know if he's going to start punching or kicking or what. You know, and we've had that with Guendouzi, and Arteta doesn't like that. He's quite a disciplinarian. You know, he likes it done his way, or it's either my way or the highway. Is the famous phrase. So, and I have noticed some players getting a bit, I think they're getting narked at the fact that he's shouting at the sidelines, he's kicking every ball, he's heading every ball, pull back here, go there, go there. You know, I know I couldn't play with a person who's giving me instructions throughout the whole game. I'd just say, and he must have, some of these guys have got very big egos, and a few of them will say, you know, they don't want to be, you know, told where to stand. They all know where to stand, you know, and obviously he's very much into tactics, and I know he's trying to help. I know Arteta's trying to help the situation, but it was interesting. Somebody said when we played so well against Man City, Arteta wasn't there, was he? And Stuyvenberg was there. Yeah. So maybe somebody should kidnap him for about a couple of hours on a football match day, just tie him up in his car or somewhere, you know, and just let the team go off and win, and then go in and release him, and he can do the conference.
I'm ready on it, Tel. I'm already on it. Paul, here's a question for you. If Project Youth doesn't work by the end of next season, Emerson Rose, Saka, Martinelli will leave. Will they leave?
I think that's a bit early for that side. Obviously, what happens at the end of this season depends on how we're shaped up for next season. It's a World Cup year as well.
Yep.
I can't see anything happening with them for 2, 3, 4 years. In all honesty, I think they will stay in and around, and if there is no change in that kind of small short range period, then they'll formulate their own opinions like others have done previously, and that's it. We've got to understand where we are by then. Let's say 2 seasons, we should be where we need to be. If we're not, then we can't blame them. It means we've not gone to where we need to get to. And if they don't think that we're going to get there, then they probably will look. And we can't stop like their teams coming in for them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, someone's going to come in with a big pot of money. Is Stan going to suddenly turn him away?
No.
So there you go.
Richard, there's one for you. KSC have been involved with Arsenal since 2007. The more shares Kroenke got, the further the decline. Nearly 20 years without the Premier League. Why should fans keep funding a failing model, Richard?
Because we love Arsenal. It doesn't matter what we're putting into Kroenke. It's our club. It's our team. And it's for the love of that, isn't it? I mean, I will always say, and I've always said, when I pay to go to the Highbury or the Emirates, what is my contract with the club? My contract is to see to watch a football match. There's no guarantee of whether it's entertaining or we'll win. It's just to see a football match between two teams, and that is all you're guaranteed when you pay your money. And anything else above and beyond that is a bonus. And unfortunately, that's the reality. That's the reality for every supporter in the world. all your money does is guarantee you a place to stand or a place to sit and watch 90 minutes of football, good, bad, or indifferent. And you if you don't like it, you don't pay your money. But if you love your team for me, it makes me forget everyday problems. 90 minutes of football, good, bad, or ugly. I forget real world problems, and that's why I pay my money, because it's a release from the real world.
But Richard, does it still feel like your club? Does Arsenal still feel like your club?
Yeah, I still associate with the players and the past players. Okay, there's with the hierarchy and the stuff. There is a difference, but is it just a look at society in general? I mean, the way society is now in general, is it just a reflection? To be honest, and that's the problem. I mean, Arsenal still do a lot of good. The community work, they're very rich with and deep into the community, and they do a lot of good. But we aren't going to do anything with the owners. I don't think even if you, unless you went 2 or 3 seasons with no fans in that stadium, would be the only way with Kroenke's. And would you? Are there going to be fans out there who've spent, like us, 20 plus years supporting, 20, 30 years plus supporting Arsenal, going to walk away and stay away? Can't do it. We love the Arsenal, good or bad.
I've got to say, there actually is a blueprint that it can be done. And AFC Wimbledon have certainly shown you how to do it legally and to make sure that all the fans own the club. And if you've got somebody like Daniel Ek involved, a multi-billionaire, and then you'd have to get some ex-players pumping both money and their own support into the club, it would be just about possible. It's a blueprint, but as I said, Dial Square, I'm not sure they've got it right. I don't want to condemn them out of hand, but I'm not quite sure as a Phoenix club, their sort of model works. But as some of you guys have said in the chat there, you know, for Stan Kroenke, this is a cash cow, okay, and it's a vanity project, as we saw in the Super Bowl. You know, it's a vanity project for him. But what he really wants, as Gary was saying, and he lives out in the States, what Stanley wants is to accumulate money. That's his buzz. That's the buzz he gets, as much money as possible. And he did say you don't buy Premier League clubs to win trophies. So if we had Abramovich, of course, it's different. Somebody put up, would Usmanov have made a difference? I think he possibly would have done, because he's, again, an incredibly rich guy, a lot richer than Stan Kroenke. And I think he might have taken it on as the Dial Square are in. That's interesting. Maybe Daniel Ek hasn't got the money, but if he's friendly with Thierry Henry and Robert Pires and stuff, then he's got a lot of kudos going there. You know, but listen, Dial Square, I want to be fair to you. I do like what you're trying to do, and I think there is a blueprint. It can be done, but the key moment will be to get ex-players that we all love and admire involved. I think if you could get that over the line, then suddenly you're talking business and people. It'll be phenomenal to see it done. I mean, the thing about AFC Wimbledon was that the big money boys took their club, renamed it, and moved it up into Milton Keynes. Well, Arsenal aren't going to be moving from the Highbury or the N7 area, so it's a slightly different vibe. So I'm not completely saying that Dial Square are wrong. I think their spirit is in the right place. I really do. I fully understand it. And if in 10 or 15 years' time we still haven't won anything under Stan Kroenke, then people will see the wisdom of what Dial Square are trying to do. But at the heart of it, I want to have one fan, one vote. I want it to be a democratically run club, and any benefits go to all the supporters. And it's possible, but it's more possible when Arsenal aren't doing well. And what Stanley Kroenke knows is he's got to have a top manager. And I think Arteta's growing into the job. He is a rookie manager, and he's made some glaring errors. We've all seen that, and he will admit it himself. If he keeps improving, then that's not good news for any Phoenix club, because if we keep bumbling along in sixth, fifth, fourth, third place, but not winning anything, then Stanley Kroenke is happy. Remember, he owns the club outright now. So in the past, he had to justify, flying in from America to England and staying in a posh hotel. He had to justify that, right? Now he doesn't have to justify anything. So for him and his family and his friends, he can jet backwards and forwards, private jets. He can do what he likes, and it's your money, and it's your support, and it's your heart that's invested in this club. And I wouldn't say Stanley Kroenke's riding roughshod on us, but he's certainly not worried about winning trophies. And I listen, if Arsenal don't win another trophy, but they're trying, and you can see they're busting the gut to sort of do it, then that's all. No trophy is ever guaranteed. But there's no doubt about it. If you look around at the money that's been pumped into Chelsea and Man City, of course, with Man United, they've had money pumped in, and they go and buy Maguire at centre back. So there's no sense in that, But yeah, I'm caught between the two. I'd love to see Arsenal do well, regardless of who owns it. But deep in my heart, I want to own it. I want to be. There's an elderly couple living over the road from me, and his wife bought the husband a share in Arsenal, and then the next year, probably Valentine's Day, today's Valentine's Day, John bought his wife a share. So they both had one share in Arsenal, and it went from being £1,000 to 14,000, and they were, they sold for a total of 28,000, not because they kind of wanted to, but because it was forced on them. And many fans have had shares running through the family. It doesn't really give them much voting right, but it makes them feel that they're part of the club. And people forget that Kroenke, came in and threw that out and said, right, I'm buying your share, because that's the way the sort of legal rules work. Once he has a big ownership of the club, he can just compulsorily buy. People have forgotten that. Don't forget, Arsenal fans, this is really your club. It began in Woolwich in an armaments factory, and the lads would come out 1:30 in the afternoon and kick a ball about. It was the people's club, and unfortunately, it's not the people's club anymore. It's Stan Kroenke's club. But who's picking up the tab, as Gary would say? Who's picking up the bill? It's you and me. It's the supporters, and there's something. There's a dissonance in that. It doesn't feel right that we're pumping all of our love and all of our money into the club, and somebody else is benefiting. And don't even get me on Aubameyang. He turned up for training the other day in Barcelona, and he'd left his gold Lamborghini in London, and he turned up in a state-of-the-art Ferrari. And it is a disconnect when you think that there's kids going to school hungry, and our superheroes are swanning around in and there's no big begrudging him that, but there is a disconnect, and I don't like that, because when I started supporting Arsenal, I sound like an old fogey now, but when we were kids at school, when it was half term, which it is now, we used to go up to Finsbury Park at midday on a Friday, and the players would walk up from the old stadium up to Barclays Bank on the corner of Seven Sisters Road at Finsbury Park. They put their checks into the bank, and they'd go for a meal. And do you know where they went for a meal? The Wimpy Bar.
Wimpy Bar.
And we used to stand outside and watch them all eating and get their autographs. Well, we're a long way from that. And I'm not saying, things move on and you have to move on with time, but there seems to be a disconnect there somewhere.
Yeah. Paul, I'll let you have the last say before we wrap this one up. Your thoughts, I've got to see a comment here. Usmanov would have kept David Dean's red and white holding. So definitely he would have made a difference for the better. But your thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, I think one of the main things when we talk about having people that are football people within the club, David Dean, him going was the downfall of modern day Arsenal. And yes, he did introduce Kroenke into the club, but he also brought in Usmanov as well. But the board were the ones that basically sold him out. And they sold out and they sold their shares and went and turned against David Dean. And there was talk that they didn't want a foreign ownership. Then all of a sudden they started then selling to Kroenke. And you look at it like that and you think, yeah, the difference between what KSE and Usmanov would have had probably money that would have been in your face. And he would have been more in your face and it would have been there. There you go. David Dean pulling the strings, doing the financials, doing the agreements. Job done. Just like with Arsene Wenger. And that's in the end of the day, that's what made Arsene Wenger what he was. And the relationship with him, and he wanted a player. That relationship was really good.
Yeah.
And when we didn't have that backing, well, put it this way, you've just brought a substitute, Ivan Gazidis or David Dean, and you're suddenly thinking, Christ, we've brought on the proper riff-raff. And we tried to sell him up the lane, wouldn't you? You try to get rid of him. You try to give him to like your worst enemy. But yeah, Gazidis was probably the worst thing to have happened to Arsenal after KSE.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the final word. Yeah.
Paul, quick question. So does Arsenal still feel like your club?
Yeah, well, I say I've been a season ticket holder for 15 years now, 15, 16 years, and yeah, I look at it. There's parts of it where I don't, to a certain degree, but not so much as like I'm totally distant. I still go and I still associate with Arsenal. Match days being at the Emirates, still the same. The players, yeah, I get the whole affinity from that side. I still have my passions. I still have my idols that I look to, and I think I really look forward to watching this player. I still have my children crying for going to watch Arsenal and doing that sort of pull for the families, and this is what being part of a club is all about, is having the family relationships as well, and that pull, and it's still there. And yeah, I it's still my club. You look at you pay your money and you go to the games, but don't buy the merchandise. Don't buy the drinks inside the stadium. Affect him that way. Go and support your team, but then anything other than that, the merchandise and the beverages and stuff, just blow that out and see that kind of like go down the pan. That's the way I'd say. Just if everyone just not actually buy stuff through the club, then you're probably not going to do nothing. But it's one way of getting at them. But yeah, you go there to support the team. If you're not there supporting the team, then there's only going to be one thing that's going to suffer, and that will be the team again. Yeah. And we would be in a better position. But if we were actually a 12th man at home most of the time, we would be a lot better as well as a club. And that's just from of going away, being in the away ground at Anfield in the cup.
Yeah.
Those moments are the ones to cherish, and you end up taking your children to those kind of atmospheres, being in the away end. It's fantastic, but to reverse it back at home and not put in that effort at home because we think it's a given just to be there and not get behind the team, and then they get the negativity as well, the negativity side of things, and you don't want to keep listening to someone moaning about someone not passing it here or there, or not pushing and not making a tackle, because that's all you hear. All the kind of like just the normal things that come out, the stereotypical kind of like comments that would come out every like 1 minute after the game. Yeah, pass it, press. It's like it's something else. But yeah, it's one of those. It's just get behind the team and support the team when you're there. Affect the pockets by stop buying the merchandise and stuff, but make sure that we're behind the team 100%, no matter what. And that's what I say about the players. If they're wearing red and white, we get behind them until they are actually sold and not actually an Arsenal player. They may not be the best. They may not be the Rolls Royce with polished chrome, but they're an Arsenal player. Get behind them, and then when they go, you can then say bye. Yeah. And then we have our upgrade.
Paul, listen, mate, well said, and a really wonderful way of ending this segment of the Canon project. Actually, we went on longer than I actually thought about, because the discussion debate was so high level. I thought, no, let it run and let it run. Ian Barrow in the live chat said to me if I could read out his comment, and he said he's a Darlington supporter. He's a Darlington fans have had to put in over £2 million since we reformed in 2012 for running of the club. Not a good state of affairs. When you look at the Premier League, when the money is stuck at the top, they say gravity. Things actually have to come down. The money hasn't come down. Hasn't gone to the grassroots of football, has it? But
down doesn't work.
yeah. But anyway, I see Eltel's gone somewhere. But we've come to an end on this particular Canon project. Guys, listen, the discussion has been so good. I'm kind of tempted to kind of continue this debate or discussion for the Easy Talk. So, Paul, if you're available for the Easy Talk this Friday, Richard, if you're available for the Easy Talk this Friday, I'll gladly welcome you guys.
Yeah, I'm available. So
yeah, Paul, you in for that?
I will be if I'm not getting divorced through being late cooking Valentine's dinner. So I'll be there.
Nice one, guys. Well, yeah, LTL has gone off for some reason. But those of you watching, I didn't read all the comments in live chat because, again, the discussion was literally one of the best on Canon Authority TV. So no doubt you'll be seeing the Lighty Lags back again for the Easy Talk this Friday, 7:30 p.m. So make sure that you've tuned in. Don't tune out. And better still, subscribe. Not only subscribe to Canon Authority TV, but also subscribe to Paul, your channel, geezer.
Yeah, in the North Bank. So please, guys, come and give us a follow, and hopefully I'll have some decent views to tune into. So look forward to being on Friday. Nice one. And of course, Richard has a YouTube channel, not football related, but
it's not football related. No, it's not. It's more hobby. Warhammer 40k, but that's completely different. That also helps me relax and chill.
yeah. Well, let us know when it's back up and running, and then we'll put the link in our description box.
Thank you very much, Alex. Much appreciated.
All right, no worries. Well, listen, guys, that's it. I will be back tomorrow morning, giving some more live news segments on this channel of ours. Remember, it's not mine, it's not yours. I only wish Arsenal would think the same way. Our club, not their club. It's our club. And without further ado, just quickly remind you that you have been watching Canon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all.